Hey everyone, welcome to the third episode of Conversations with T. This is T speaking, and today's guest is someone who I actually went to school with. How have you been, Juliet?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm alright, alhamdulillah. I'm tired. Um, so yeah, tell the listeners more about yourself. What have you been up to after graduation?
All right. So I graduated in 2019 and I came back right before the pandemic started. So since then, I've been focusing on my mental health and physical health.
Mm-hmm.
So that was pretty much it. And I did do some internships in mental health, in the field of mental health, but that's pretty much it. Like I have been focusing on self-care for the last 2 years.
Oh yeah, amazing.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
we've been in school for quite some time. I mean, I've been in the same school for 15 years, but you joined in ninth grade. And I
Yeah.
and I think personally you stood out to me from everyone else from our year group because you were one of the two people who took HL Bangla and you were known to be quite strong at that subject. What was it like? I can imagine how challenging it may have been because Bangla is not an easy language to learn, at least in my opinion.
Yeah. To be honest, for me, like, because I came from a different school. So in my previous school, Bangla was really hard, and believe me or not, like I used to get really bad grades in Bangla in my old school. So
Really?
when I like yeah, because they had like two parts. One was Bangla literature, that was the easy part, but the Bangla grammar, that was really hard. I don't think I ever got anything above a 70. So when
Whoa.
I switched schools, yeah, so when I switched schools, like the Bangla in IB, in ISD is very different. And in my opinion, I think it's more useful than the kind of Bangla we were taught in my previous school.
Mhm.
Because like in my previous school, it was more like just to memorize and then, just memorize and then throw up all the answers on the answer sheet. But in IC, it was like you actually have to show that you understood what the text means, not just, paraphrase it. So that's why it felt a little easier for me, but it was a challenge.
Mm,
Because with higher level, it comes with like you had to go through more novels, the content was bigger, and you had to show like a more in-depth knowledge of the text.
uh,
And it was just me and another student. It was just two of us.
yeah.
So that made it a little extra challenging because if you have like five, six peers in your class, you can share notes and share ideas.
Yeah.
But with just one other person, it's just that the sources are limited.
Uh, yeah, you reminded me of my HL English classes. Like, I remember writing
Yeah,
analytical essays, like, reading Shakespeare
exactly.
and some other books. Yeah, it was
Yes.
interesting. Yeah, it was interesting.
Yes.
For my second,
Yeah. And also like
yeah, go on.
Bangla tends to have more complicated words
Oh,
and the spellings are harder when it comes to Bangla because we're so used to speaking and writing in English, right? But
yeah,
with Bangla, because like you can't, it has to be formal Bangla, like literature Bangla. So the spellings were a big problem for me. It was really hard to remember all the spellings of all the complicated words.
oh. Uh, for my second language, I took SL French. I don't know if this is true, but I think the majority of the people from our year group they picked French, but I could be wrong. But yeah, I did pick
Okay.
this. Am I right or wrong?
I actually don't remember, but I think you're right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, French, SL French was my second language course. I'm not fluent, but I guess I can say that my French is basic. I do remember
Yes.
having the same French teacher in grades 10, 11, and 12. And oh my days, he was funny. He actually had a special nickname, believe it or not, for one of our classmates, and it was either Bieber Claus, Santa Bieber, or maybe both. Okay, maybe I can.
Right.
Okay, maybe I can understand the Bieber part because our classmate looked a tiny bit like him, in my opinion, at least.
Mhm.
But
All right.
how did my French teacher come up with the Santa part? I mean, it's not as if our classmates went to people's houses on Christmas, climbed up their chimneys, and
Yeah,
presents, right?
I know. Should have asked him.
Wouldn't that be a view? I mean, a scenario, yeah. High school was, how would you describe high school?
See, like for me, it was completely different because I joined in ninth grade, right? So I had to handle with the change of school,
Yeah,
more
yeah.
people, and a completely new curriculum. And I'm not gonna lie, at first I really hated going to school. Like I
Oh,
absolutely like every morning I'd be like, I don't want to go. But then like after a year or so, I was like, you know what? I actually enjoyed this way of schooling better than my previous school, and I enjoyed this curriculum more. To be honest, I think as much as I would hate to go through IB again, but sometimes I do wish I could go back to high school because, those days the biggest problem you had was that you have an assignment due and
oh,
that's
and some teachers were the
it.
human version of headaches, right?
Yes, yes, absolutely.
Even my biology teacher in grade 10. I mean, you and
Yeah.
you and this other girl, once you guys laughed at me because I just looked dead. Like as I tried to. You still remember that, right?
Yeah, everyone looked dead in that class, to be honest. Like, we just wanted to, like, we would rather die than be in this class.
Oh, and
Yeah,
school can be fun, but it's a challenge, not just
yeah,
academic-wise, but also on an emotional level because we're so teenagers and not everyone fits in. Um, some
yes,
some may experience bullying, some may not have the social skills to build relationships with other people, etc.
exactly. Like, I feel like nowadays people are more aware of these concepts. Like, back when we were in high school, even then, people didn't really pay much attention to mental health or that different people are built differently. Like,
Yeah.
now people can like loudly say that, yes, I'm an introvert. Yes, I would rather stay home than go and hang out with my friends. But back then, no one really like understood the concept of people being introvert or extrovert, and people like if you're staying at home on a weekend you're considered to be a loner, and apparently that's a bad thing. So back then we didn't really understand that it's okay if you want to stay home and it's normal to want that. So that kind of also like we were judging ourselves and we didn't even know it.
Mm. And with our school in particular, there have been sessions and talks about bullying and whatnot, but bullying still occurred in our school, which was
Yes,
unfortunate.
like
And
it was so subtle, like you couldn't really even do anything about it.
and I'm not just talking about our grade. Like I've seen
No,
people
no.
other their groups getting picked on, and that I remember.
Yes.
I remember this particular time in when I was a sixth grader. So I was on Facebook and I came across this. I was yeah I was on yeah I was on Facebook and like someone from who was in eighth grade at that time, like I that person or a bunch of people, they made this group about one of their peers, and it was basically a hate group. And yeah, from what I understood, like that guy was hated on because of his skin color, and that's just ridiculous. They talked,
I know, right?
they spoke negative.
What?
They didn't only speak negatively about that guy, by the way. They spoke ill about his father and even his younger sister, and that's just
Damn.
going a step further. It's
That's, yeah, like I understand that sometimes teenagers can be cruel, but then even they should have a limit, like human decency. You don't need to be old and mature to understand what's human decency.
Yeah, and I mean, picking on someone for the skin color, that I can't find the right word to describe that. All of us
That's
know,
just absurd.
yeah. And it's not
Yeah.
as if it's not as if the ones who made that group were the most fair-skinned people who walk.
Fair or something, yeah.
Yeah, and what I found really strange is that both of us attended an international school, and there were students and teachers from different parts of the world, and people still were so racist. I mean, that makes no sense.
I know, right? Like that's what I always keep saying. Like when I think about some people from our school, whether they're from our grade or someone older or younger, that like it is an expensive school. Like our parents paid so much for us to get an international education. But
Yeah,
then some of the people, when I like see them or when I notice their online activities, like what was the point of spending so much money on an international education when you still behave like an uneducated person and you judge someone based on their skin color or
exactly.
looks or like how much of a there's one thing has always been normal in our school and it's so sad that it's been normalized. It's judging people based on the brands they wear. Like
Hmm.
if someone's carrying a luxury bag or shoes or whatever. Like that's just like when you receive an international education, that's not something that should be important to you. Like you can't judge someone based on the kind of bag they wear or the
Exactly.
value of their clothes or something. Like it should come from their personality or what they talk about.
And how do we know that that person can actually afford all of that, right?
Exactly.
Hmm.
Like you could be the richest person on this planet, but then if you do not have anything to add to the society, then what's the point of you carrying like a $3,000 bag?
And you wanna know something wild? I mean, there are these celebrities, they made it big, they earned big and whatnot, and people know them, but they they commit suicide, they do drugs, they
Ex-
have mental health problems. Like that just shows you that money can, like, sure, money is important, but it can't really make
Yeah,
in the long
like
run.
it can't give you peace. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And like it's ridiculous because like even now, like some of us we're still not earning on our own. We're still surviving on our parents' money, right?
Yeah.
So what's like I get it. If I am earning myself and I am at such a good position financially that I can afford to buy a $3,000 bag,
Yeah,
then I would get it because that is something I achieved on my own.
yeah.
But buying luxury products with your parents' money and then being proud of it and then judging someone else for not participating in this culture, that is so ridiculous.
That's lame, honestly.
Yeah, like
I
if you earn it, of course, like show it off, but don't don't do it just cause your father can buy it for you and then you expect everyone else to do the same.
I yeah, I mean, this is an unfortunate reality in our society. People just love to show off
Exactly.
and bring each other down.
I know.
It's all a competition for, I don't know, being rich, um, having, I don't know, the
Like expensive things.
yeah, and having the
Well,
best
like
looking spouse, having the most cars, etc.
yeah, yeah. Like if you think about it, like nowadays this thing has become so common and normalized. Like I honestly feel like I was more at peace 5 years ago than I am now. Because
Mm,
people are so competitive now financially, like when it comes to showing off, like, oh, I have this, I got this, that I live in a bigger house, I have more expensive cars. But at the end of the day, does it really add value to your life? It doesn't. It cannot bring you peace.
yeah, and the wedding events here, they're a reflection of this reality. I mean,
Do not get me started.
people spending, how much do you think they spent on one wedding event?
I know for a fact that, there are like two or three very well-known wedding decorators, like,
Yeah.
like they're like the brand now. I know for a fact that their starting price is somewhere around 70 lakhs, like Taka.
How much would that be
Can
in
you imagine?
how much would that be in dollars?
I would have to convert. Just give me 1 second. I'll convert it for you.
Okay, okay.
I am not good at math.
It's cool.
I think it's around like 80 81. I don't know if this sounds right, but it's like $81,000.
$81,000 for
Dollars, yeah, for just decoration. That's it.
yeah, no comment.
Yeah.
Huh.
Like I remember I used to really like her work because she does her job really good. Like her decorations are really pretty.
Okay.
But then I'm like $80,000 for just one night's decoration. All this decoration is gonna come off and it's gonna end up in the bin. That's $80,000 in the bin.
And
For
divorce.
what? Just so exactly like just so you could tell people, oh yeah, I hired that decorator.
And you wanna know some and what's sad is the divorce rates are rising. And not
Yes,
just like
because see,
worldwide.
nowadays people get married just for the events, like just to dress up and like, or like they don't really look for the qualities that actually matter when it comes to looking for a partner. They're more concerned about, oh, will this partner look good enough in the society?
I mean, I think some people they have it's like they view marriage as this happily ever after thing, but in reality it's really difficult. It's a challenge. Like there's
Exactly.
sacrifices
Like,
involved, responsibilities involved, and looks fade away. And
yes.
the love at itself, it may also eventually start to fade. Like if
Exactly. Like even like I know like 20 years ago love marriages were like a no in our society, but now love marriage is like very normal and common, right?
yeah,
But even with love marriages, the marriages end up in divorce because I feel like when people date, like the dating culture here, it's so messed up. Like even when you date someone for 5 years, like after they get married and they live together for 1 year, they realize like it's not the person they thought they would be.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
because the 5 years of dating was at such a shallow level that
yeah.
they don't really get to know the person on a deeper level.
And not just that, I feel as though people they don't understand like the opposite gender psychology, and like men and women they look for different things in a potential partner and they don't think the same way. That's a fact. And
Yes,
you and me being women, um we may think that men may want the same things as we do, but it could be the opposite for them.
exactly.
Can't really talk about what men want because I'm not a man, you're not a man, and it'd be fair
Yeah. Yeah.
to look this from a guy's perspective, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But I know for
Like every guy is different, right? Like for
yeah,
them, like everyone has different set of priorities.
yeah, and I think for most, if not all women, we want a man who would uh support us emotionally, give us that emotional support, and who we can trust. And I think our needs are, I mean, the things we want from a potential partner, I think they're more emotional, don't you think?
Yes. Yes. Like it should be. Like what we should be looking for when it comes to a partner is that emotional support, that emotional safety, someone you would feel safe with,
Yeah,
like someone who makes you feel like you're at ease, you're at home.
yeah, and I don't think a woman would find that in a guy who's like who just messed around with different women in the past, you know? Like,
Yes, because they would never grow the skills to, really understand someone on a mental, like on a deeper mental level.
Yeah, and the woman might constantly worry if whether or not that guy would cheat on her, and what if that guy
Exactly.
still thinks about someone else who he met from in the past, and
Yeah.
he catches feelings for someone else, etc.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the thing, like we and it like I feel like as I grew older, like as a 21-year-old, of course I didn't know better. Like I made mistakes, but as a 24-year-old now, I have learned a few things to as to like how to understand what a guy wants or what kind of a partner he would be. So I feel like with age, we girls realize what we want and how to look for it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the thing, but it's like when you're growing up, you think you know the best, you know everything, and then you end up making mistakes, and then it hits you in the face that no, you don't.
And there are some girls who really need to fix up. I mean, going after a guy for his money only, that's just yeah, it's not gonna last.
Oh no, like it's never like thing in our society. Another thing that's sadly very common is physical abuse.
Yeah.
And I have heard so many horror stories about educated girls, girls from good family, like they got married just because they focused on the financial aspect of it. And like I know that those educated, rich guys are physically abusive to their wives, like, and that's just so sad. Like that just breaks my heart.
I
Like,
mean,
what's the point of their education, right?
I don't understand why abuse is so normal in our society. I used to know someone back in the days, and
Yeah.
she nearly got she nearly died after getting abused by her ex-husband and maybe her ex-mother-in-law. And I
Yeah,
just
I really don't understand how someone can do that. Like,
how can someone sleep knowing that they caused so much harm to another person? I
and
mean,
it's not just physical harm. Like, can you imagine the mental,
yeah,
like the toll it would take on the girl's mental health?
yeah,
I can't. That is like one of like see, like when it comes to marriage, like there's so even if you have dated that person for 5 years, you don't know what kind of a husband they're gonna turn out to be if you do not connect with them on that deeper level, if you're just focused on the superficial aspects of like having a partner.
yeah.
And that's what makes marriage so scary.
And how would you know that the guy would take would be responsible, pay his bill, pay the bills on time, and be a great role model for their future children and for other people?
Exactly. I feel like when you date someone, like that is a question that I always ask myself. Like if I like even if I'm not dating someone, even if I think that I like a certain person, like that is something that always stays in my head is what kind of a father he would be to my
Yeah.
kids.
And you want to know
Like,
something deep?
because
You go on.
yeah, no, no, I was just saying, like, go ahead.
I just want to say that
Mm-hmm.
like I heard something very profound, I think some time ago, and yeah, it's something like this. We can choose our husbands, but our children can't choose their father.
Exactly. That's what I was gonna say. Like,
Yeah.
exactly. Like, it's my responsibility.
Yeah, I mean, if we choose a crap person, then what do you think is gonna happen, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's just raising another generation with their own set of mental problems.
Yeah, and broken homes can lead to like different problems, such as the kid might end up joining a gang, or they might commit crimes, or I don't know, run away from home, become
Like,
homeless.
the
I mean,
the
yeah,
possibilities are endless. Like even if, like, for example, let's say the kid turns out to be like someone who gets A's in their grades and everything, but then there will be hidden issues with that kid, and those issues might like come out as that kid grows up. Maybe in his adult life, maybe he will be unable to form healthy relationships with the opposite sex or like with friends. Like you like there are also hidden problems that you can't see.
yeah.
So it's a matter of a lifetime.
And what if that child, when he or she becomes an adult, what if they become the abusive one towards their partner?
Yes, that is the most common, like, co- common thing that to happen. Like
Yeah.
I've seen guys who have abusive fathers, and then they grow up to be abusive husbands. Like I know like so many people from our school, like they have like these very rich, powerful fathers, right? So, and chances are that their fathers don't treat their mothers with respect.
Yeah.
And that is why some of the guys in our school act so entitled, like when it comes to girls or dating. And that just baffles me.
Dude, I wonder what they're, dude, if they come across this video, I wonder what I wonder if we're gonna
They
get
can
some
think
cancer.
or feel whatever they want, but they know who they are.
Yeah, I just hope we don't get canceled after, like, you
Yeah,
know.
the thing, I don't think we are part of that clique anyways, and I wouldn't want to be part of that clique.
Dude,
So,
high school is over. Like, it's been more than 6 years and we're all busy with our lives, right?
yeah, exactly. That's why I really don't care.
Uh, all right, it's getting
Yeah.
late. Thank you, Juliet, for
All right.
being this episode's third guest, and I really hope you the rest of your evening goes well. Thank you so much and take care.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. Have a good night.
You too.